Our brain is very quick to fill in the ending of a story when we don't know what it is. And if that is tied to anything related to anxiety or feeling nervous, oftentimes the endings that our brain comes up with are not fabulous. And that's because of that good old fashioned negativity bias. Our brain is always looking out for possible threats so that we can create plans in order to stay safe. But when those plans are being designed by our little friend Amy the Amygdala, they're not necessarily going to be in favor of the successful outcome that our thinking brain and self is yearning for. Therefore, there's a really quick tool that we can use to switch the framework and let our little friend Amy the Amygdala know that she doesn't have to create a worst case story. Instead, we can build towards the outcome that we want to have. The first step is to notice what's happening in the future. What is the thing that's coming up that our brain is feeling anxious or worried about? So let's use the example of public speaking. That's one of the number one fears on the face of this planet, fascinatingly enough. Public speaking is often tied to fears of rejection and embarrassment and so many other things. And so our brain's good at creating stories around that. So let's imagine that that is the situation. We're noticing that there's something happening in the future, a public speaking experience that we're anxious about. Then we're going to sense into what is the story as well as the case elements of that event. So, what is our brain thinking? What is happening in our body when we start thinking about it? What are we noticing in terms of physiological shifts? And what emotions are coming up? It's a gentle sense, just noticing and paying attention to what's coming up in that moment. Oftentimes, there's a story tied to the worst case experience. What is the fear that is going to happen? The amygdala is going to pay attention to that, and that story can become the guiding force for the outcome. So we're sensing what's happening, we're noticing what the body is experiencing, and then, of course, we're going to apply that havening touch. And then we're going to shift into brain games. So yes, this is that classic CPR for the Amygdala Protocol, utilizing it on a future-focused experience so that we can help the amygdala step back and calm down rather than creating a worst-case story about that. If you're not familiar with CPR for the amygdala and the SNAP protocol, of course, there is a link to the playlist in the notes below. Once you have used the CPR for the Amygdala Protocol to help the brain and the body calm down and no longer be caught in that experience of worst case storytelling, then we're going to turn towards the new opportunity. Identifying the case element, so the cognition, autonomic, somatosensory, or emotional space we'd like to be in as we do move towards that public speaking event, if that's the example that we're working with. So then the next step, once we've identified that case element, is to lean into that wonderful creating possibilities protocol. You guessed it, the CPP. We're going to start with the curiosity check-in. What if? As we're noticing the upcoming experience, again in our example, public speaking, what would we like to have more of? Perhaps excitement or confidence or a feeling of being relaxed in the body, whatever it might be. And then we're going to try on that what if statement 5 times. What if I was? Filling in the blank with your preferred case element. What if I was? What if I was? What if and what if? All the while, of course, applying that havening touch to create the neuroplastic change that we're looking for. Then we're going to check it out and say, whoa, can I feel this way? Is that possible? If it is possible, then same thing. I can be 5 times completing the sentence with your chosen case element. And if you're not feeling like you can be yet, or even if the amygdala started to get a little wary or anxious, that's okay. Go back to your CPR for the amygdala if Amy's getting activated. And if she's not, but you're just not quite feeling the I can be, lean into the what ifs some more. And you might just leave it at that for the time being. 5 more what ifs, and then take a break and return to your day, allowing yourself the opportunity later to come back and revisit this exercise. If the I can be's feel good and you're able to move on to the possibility of I will be, then imagine trying on that energy and walking into that space. I will be. What would that look like? Because you now have a strong enough sense of connection to your identified experience that you will possibly feel that way. Remember, it's a possibility. We're not lying to our amygdala. We're not in the moment right then, but we're just saying, hey, what would it look like? And imagining walking into that experience, carrying that energy. If it's public speaking, imagine walking up to the stage feeling relaxed, or imagine feeling confident and having your shoulders back and your chin up, whatever it might be. And then if in that moment it feels real enough that you can actually embody an affirmation, then again, still applying the havening touch, move into the I am and help your brain link more fully into your chosen state. Again, the I am is just in this moment, because when we're doing the what ifs to the I cans to the I wills, all the way up to the I ams, it's all about this present moment, and we're creating a new future option for the brain to hold on to. Of course, the entire Creating Possibilities protocol is also in the playlist below. So have fun sculpting your brain. We have so much power than we ever could possibly have imagined in our ability to work with our mind and our body to build the world we want to live within.